Hello and welcome back to Lost for Words. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all of those using the Lost for Words hashtag. Even though you don't know me, you're supporting my brand. I appreciate the support and hope you continue to use that hashtag to distribute my brand, the Lost for Words brand. Now, on to a few things that have been on my mind lately. July the 4th, Independence Day. A day not for the military, but for the people of our great nation of America. A lot of people think this holiday is a military holiday. It's not. It's a holiday about and for the citizens to celebrate our independence from a tyrannical government. It's a holiday that represents freedom from an oppressive government. Too many times we hear people dedicating this holiday to military personnel, which is great and all, but it probably is a little redundant because we do have Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Flag Day, on days about our military. And that's great. Military people are great, and I appreciate your service to our country, and that's nice. That's good, and thank you. However, Independence Day is a day that is and should be dedicated to one of the greatest documents in American history, the Declaration of Independence. This document was written for the people and distributed by the people after being unanimously ratified on July the 2nd, not the 4th. A lot of people think that the 4th was when the Declaration of Independence was ratified, and it was ratified 2 days prior. July 4th is the celebration of everybody signing the Declaration. There were no divided parties. There was no partisanship. Only one goal: to be free. To be free from a government that wanted to control the people. Our government today, much like England of the 18th century, our government today does the same things our founding fathers wrote that document to separate us from. Maybe, just maybe, we should take a long, hard look at that document and reword it for modern day and rise up against our tyrannical government that serves us today. I say serves us in very loose terms. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impelled them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all humans are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator, whichever Creator you pray to, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, women, and immigrants, deriving their just powers from the consent of the government. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its power in such form as them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments, long established, should not change for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, our right, it is their duty, our duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Those words I just spoke are from the document and are true now as they were when written. Donald Trump is not a president. He is a figment of the imagination of certain entitled people who have lost sight of what this country was. He was not elected by popular vote, and therefore is not and never has been my president. He has lied to you and I. He is a contradictory figurehead that has set this country back to a time when hate was accepted, a time when women were said to be the lesser sex, to a time when being gay or different than anybody else was frowned upon. He and the GOP and all the supporters of said party have proven that ignorance is the norm in this country. We are at a time that when the so-called leader calls for a war on words, or what we call the media, that it's accepted that a person can take a gun and kill those very people that defend our freedom by writing about tyranny, about the tyranny that haunts us to this day and age. Anyone who supports a party or person that does this is on the wrong side of the line that has been drawn. I speak out to you, the people, in the hopes that it makes sense that opposition of these people is a right given to us by the Declaration of Independence, and we should utilize that right to its fullest. Recently, I contacted an organization, a political organization, that has no affiliation of party. If there was any available positions, I explained my situation and gave them a brief explanation of recent events in my life. You see, I used to be a public speaker, and I ran a nonprofit organization that spoke out about domestic violence and helped gain awareness for those affected. I know that may not be a political issue, but it gave me experience and put me in front of a crowd and sometimes a camera. It gave me a platform to speak about subjects that I'm passionate about. Apart from being a victim of domestic violence, I am a survivor who knows how to rally people and draw emotions that can come out when someone unknown speaks about things that they are passionate about. I was told by this organization that they appreciate my activism, but essentially I wasn't needed. Excuse me, but wouldn't any company that wants to promote peaceful activism want someone who has the ability to motivate people? In my experience, people like me are the ones who I listen to. People like me are the ones that grassroots people actually hear. It's people like me that understand the whats and hows of the things that are happening in today's world. It would be prudent to give a subject like me a platform to promote those who are running for office. However, that's not the case, and in all reality, this gives me the motivation to call out this organization and the opportunity to promote those whom I support, Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Next up, let's talk about Vermont legalization of recreational marijuana. Vermont is the first state legislating legalization of marijuana by any state. In the past, it was the people that voted for legalization. But now, the politicians were the ones who voted for it. It marks substantial change in overall philosophy by some politicians. Just think if the federal government, not just the state governments, would do this. I've said it before, and I'll say it again and again. It could change the overall landscape of this country. It would set free people that have been jailed because of a plant that saves lives. It would bring revenue and help alleviate the deficit this country has. It would create new jobs. It would create a path of enlightenment of which this world and this country has never seen. It's high time, pun intended, that we as people speak up and call out those who oppose legalization. Over 50% of the population believes that legalization has merit and should be done. It's unfortunate that smokescreens and mirrors are used to misdirect those who have no clue of the benefits. Although most that oppose are the ones that think alcohol isn't a drug. The big pharma industry and their lobbyists would rather support prohibition than actually solve problems. I can go on and on about this, but eventually I will dedicate a whole video in time. Now let's move on to something else that eats at me a lot. Liberals versus conservatives. What is a liberal? A liberal is open to new behavior or opinions and willing to discard traditional values. That's the actual definition in the dictionary. Look it up. It is derived from the Latin word liberalis, which literally means free. Kind of like what I was saying earlier about the Declaration of Independence. Me, I'm a liberal. I'll admit it, I am. I will say what I want, whenever I want. I am free to do so because it is a fundamental life right. No one can or will I ever let them take that right away from me. It's funny that the word liberal has no ties to politics until you scroll down a little bit and see the 5th or 6th definition, where they added extra definitions to the word. However, when you look up the word conservative, and that definition is very clear, the first definition for conservative is this: holding on to traditional attitudes and values and cautious about change or innovation, typically in relation to politics or religion. Hear that? Politics or religion. First definition. It is derived from the Latin word conservativus, which means to conserve. It's also funny that conserve is a verb, and to conserve something is to basically save it. More so humorous is that most conservatives aren't saving anything. Now, Abraham Lincoln was a true conservative by definition. He saved the Union. However, he was also a liberal at heart because he knew this country needed to change. Why would anyone be opposed to changing things for the better? That boggles my mind and confuses me. So do me a favor, comment below and tell me how status quo is better than moving forward to better things. In my opinion, liberalism versus conservatism is a no-brainer, and the definitions only solidify my point. I would rather be free and move forward than to try to save something that is fundamentally flawed. Oh yeah, the ICE thing. Let's get to that. Let's just say ICE is an organization that prides itself on doing the wrong thing. It's a useless group that does nothing but abuse its power. It's a glorified border patrol. I'd rather see the Minutemen in Texas do their thing rather than see ICE separate children from their parents. ICE represents Donnie, and we all know what that means. It's corrupt and convoluted. ICE isn't about protecting America. It's like the SS in Nazi Germany. They know its purpose was wrong, but went along with it anyway. I compare ICE to Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General. They both mean well, but they just don't know any better. They do what they do to make themselves and the party they serve feel better. ICE should be shut down and dissolved, period. If any of you believe that the problem in America today stems from immigrants or liberal thinking, please think again. The problem is Americans themselves. Sure, we're free, but those freedoms have limits, tariffs, doctrines, special orders, and it all stems from the ideology of a group of people that could care less about the other 98%. Today is a day for freedom. But to be completely honest, I'm ashamed to be an American. I'm embarrassed to even walk down the street and talk to anyone that passes me. I wonder if the Germans felt that way when Hitler was in power. I wonder if the Italians felt that way when Mussolini was in power. I bet you they did. But then some nice people from all over the world stopped by and made a difference. Maybe in the coming days, the coming weeks, and the coming years, some of those same countries could change the top 2%'s way of thinking and help us all get over the embarrassment of what we've become as a country. Now that you've watched a holiday edition of Lost for Words, click that excuse me, click that little thumbs up at the bottom. Comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell people who you want to hear something about the world that's the truth. Good or bad, start a conversation with a friend and discuss the issues surrounding us today. Do what you can to change the world. You never know who may be listening. It may just be the guy in that ivory tower called Donald Trump. He may be watching this. He may be listening. He may be listening to what you're saying. He's one of those glory hogs. He wants to hear everything. Good or bad. You just might change the perspective of someone who you never thought you could. Thank you for watching. This has been Lost for Words. Again, thanks. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.